Okay. All right. So where were we?
Okay, so yeah, I was basically saying like so when you're going from work and going into going from school and going to work, the the last day of school, right, or
Mhm.
varsity or college, and the first the first day after you get paid, right, is almost like the biggest shock that you can get into your system because it's like again you're going from nothing in your bank account to something that you've never ever thought of, right? And it's very important there to kind of have that um, financial um, thought process or knowledge to say, okay, well now what do I do? Because you can do a lot of stuff. You know, if you've had 1 rand or you've had $1 or one whatever currency that you're working in, and then you all of a sudden you have almost 50 to 75% of that within a few days, you kind of feel like, you know what, actually, I can solve all my problems with this, right?
Mhm.
But what you don't realize is that you can start a lot more too, and which is generally what happens. So I think it's very important for us to kind of teach people that and to be taught that as well, to kind of to have our thought processes changed as we go through life,
Mhm.
and again it's not that I'm not saying that you shouldn't get what you want to get, right? But I'm just saying just have a thought process of, okay, I'm gonna get this. Do I need it? Do I not need it? Why do I need it? So that when you make the decision, it's a wholehearted decision, right?
Yeah.
So again, like I'm saying, it's like whatever you do, wherever you work, it's more so. That's why it's so much more difficult when you have a child, because in the decisions that you make are no longer about yourself. You know, you can say, okay, and then you find that also when you get work, there's a lot more other things that you have to do. If your work is far, you have to get a car instead of driving because you can't be late. Then you find that
Yeah.
then there's a lot more financial decisions that you make or life decisions that you make that is a must more than it is a suggestion. And then
Mhm.
these things, then you find that they don't actually, you don't have a choice with them. You have to buy a car to get to a certain place because in your job is in maybe different places. So you have to go there, then go there, then go there. Or your job means that you have to travel to your clients, so you have to get a car, or you have to get certain types of clothing, or you have to dress a certain way, and you have to you have to live in a different type of area, especially from like again, if you're coming from um, a low kind of income area in terms of like housing, and you have to now go live in the town, or in the city, then it's like, man, now all of a sudden your problems are no longer, they're compounded as well, you know.
Mhm.
So you got to keep that in mind, and then you got to make those decisions. You sit down with your parents, with your caregivers, with your brothers, with your sisters, and ask them these questions. People that have been through it. And luckily, again, I mean, we have us here. Ask us, um, to say, listen, maybe like, what can I do? What can I do to kind of make better or smarter decisions? If I want to travel like the world in the next 2 years or 3 years, is it viable for me to buy a car now? Because then you find that buying
Mhm.
a car now, you're spending all that money that you could have saved up and then gone to Thailand or gone to Bali,
Exactly.
you know. And even then, it's like, okay, well, wait, do you really want to go to Bali? Like, what do you want to gain from it? Is it just a personal experience, or is it something that you actually want to make fruitful? To say, I want to go to Bali to then go look for a job, or then go to find connections, wherever you want to go. I want to go to China to do that, wherever it is. It's like you need to actually put these processes in order. You can't just make impulse decisions, because short-term decisions now might be bad decisions in the medium to long term.
That's
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
short-term decisions now, it's like if you're now, it's the weekend, what's the best thing to do? Oh, you know what? I can go out and I can go drink. I can go and buy this, and I can go and buy these smokes, and I can go have hubbly, and go have a night out with the boys, with the girls. And then you find that on Monday, I'm like, oh, flip, what am I going to eat at work? You know, oh, flip, maybe that Friday night, if you didn't go so hard and you thought about Monday, or you saved up for Monday, you wouldn't have this problem, you know. So sometimes our short-term problems are not good for the medium to long-term, which is why you have to make short-term, medium, and long-term goals that are viable, that kind of translate into each other. But in order to do that, you need to actually set the goal to begin with. And obviously, there's a lot of people, I was even like that as well, where you find that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Wasn't quite sure, finding your feet. Don't know, I have a lot of kind of, you know, things I want to dabble in. It's like, well, then when you come into money or you come into certain situations, don't waste it. Put it down, because you don't know what you're going to want to do with it later. You don't want to get to a point where you find, you know what, I worked at a job, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but then I spent everything. And then you find that after a year's time, it's like, you know what I want to do is I really want to go to Australia. And it's like, how?
Mm.
You know,
So it's basically having financial discipline, which would be wiser to have it at an earlier stage. So I think when you're in varsity and you're receiving allowance, let's say it's November, it's towards December, and they decide to just put in ×2 of what you're getting. If you are gonna now go out with your friends and you the boss buying expensive drinks, how are you gonna survive? How are you gonna buy the groceries? Kanti, if you can stick to what you currently have and stick to the izinto ojwayele ukuzithenga, you can actually be able to actually save. So it's you disciplining yourself financially.
Yeah, no, and you get a lot of that, man. Like it's actually crazy the amount of people, the amount of you that you find in yourself that spends so much for no reason, you know, and you find that you always regret looking at your bank statement at the end of the month because you feel it's like a report card. Like, hey, I know I didn't study for this test, and now I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go through that all the time, because you know that if you go through that every month, then you're doing something wrong. You know, you want to go through it and say, okay, I see now, I've mended as much as I can. Where can I now cut things off? You know, where can I now just save that? But again, you need to know that. You need to know that after you've made a goal, because then you know that what you're working towards. Because that's the easiest thing to spend money. Is to spend money on stuff now because you don't know what you're gonna need it for. So why keep it? You know, what's the point? You know, so again, like I say, I think a lot of people think like that. You know, you find that someone can, it's like our grandmas, you know, they will earn 5,000 Rand a month or 2,000 Rand from grant, right? Everyone will eat in the home. No day that you'll go without eating, and the lights are on, the water's there, right? You don't go to work late, you don't go to school late, everything's always there. And then you'll go and you'll work and you'll be making quadruple that amount. But then every week you're asking her for money. It's like, clearly there's a discrepancy.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a discrepancy here. So what is the discrepancy? Then you have to look again within yourself and you say, maybe I'm spending a bit too much on the weekend. Maybe I'm living a lifestyle that I'm not quite proud of. Maybe I'm facing off the wrong things. Maybe I want validation from my friends. Oh, maybe I do. Okay, well then maybe I shouldn't have those friends. If I'm going to be around friends that are not going to be helping my thought processes, then it goes into every other topic that we've talked about. Yeah, well,
and it's like these topics are linked because everything we talk about actually links back to it.
Yeah, because we live that life. So you live that life with these topics. So you go to school, you have a family, you have relationships, you set up goals, you have kids, everything links up that way. So but now you find that then those things have to link up in a better way for you to have a better future. And if they don't, if something that kind of lags in the middle, it sets up disappointment or bad things in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely. So no one can change it except for you. It starts with admitting that you have a problem. Like, okay, so I think I have a problem that I want to impress people. Or I think I have a problem because I like buying expensive things because I have the money to. And I don't think of how those things are going to benefit me in the long run. And do I really have to buy those things, or do I just want to look good for the brand?
Yep, exactly, man. And then you find that then there's so many things that happen. You know, when you're going from school to work or work to school, a lot of things change in your life, right? But even the people that are in your life change in that sense as well, because you find that when you're in varsity, right? Say you have friends or family members, they kind of be eating noodles together. You know, we're eating liver together. We just, you know, living daily on scraps. Then you go and you go work, you start working, and all of a sudden you buy them McDonald's one time, or you buy them beers one time, or you get them whatever it is, right? Now all of a sudden, now go back, you cannot eat noodles again, because now you've shown them what they will always want, what they now want to become used to. And then you find that then as soon as you say to them, hey, you know what, bro, I don't think we should be going out this week. Or you know what, I'm not drinking anymore. You know, I spend a lot of money on that. And all of a sudden they say, hey, well, but what do you mean? You know,
Yeah.
you find that then they don't support your dreams. They only support the dreams that they're in, or they only support the plans that they're in. You see, so
Because
that's why,
they benefit.
yeah, so that's why it's very important to then say, oh, okay, you watch those things and you look at your life, and then you say that, okay, if this person is not with me when I'm supposed to be, when they say that they're supposed to be, maybe they're not supposed to be there anyway. Now it's time to cut that person off. So that's how you find that sometimes someone can be with you when they're with you, and then when you move, they say, nah, I'll wait for you here. You know, that's how people change, and that's how you can cut people off that were friends with you, and then all of a sudden stop being friends with you. You cut them off.
Now you can see it's easy for you to see the good ones and the bad ones. Because I mean, if I make a decision that actually I don't want to now drink every weekend and actually spend this money on the things we do every weekend, I'd rather take this money and maybe save it for a cause I want to do, or to actually better myself, or actually to do something valuable for myself. And the minute you're not going to support it because you're not benefiting on the drinking part, then it's clear that our intentions are very different. We'd rather
Very
go
different.
separate.
Yes, exactly. So it's the same with the other way around. If you're studying and then you work, and then after a while you feel like, you know what, I need to go back to study. Then let me work part time, or let me stop working. You go back to study, and then you find that your friends or what you do, then obviously then you find you also need to make sure that you understand that, okay, now if I'm going from working back to studying, how my finances are going to look now. What's going to happen? What should I let go? What should I not let go? What should I
Lots
become?
of
Maybe I should go back to taking a taxi because petrol's expensive. Maybe I should go back and, you know, maybe go into little group things where you pay like a monthly thing, and then the one person drives us there, you know, whatever it is. So you find that you now you can't eat as much as you used to eat, or as expensive as you used to eat. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that. All of which, because you want now to reach this goal, right? And then also that goal, you need to understand how important it is, because once you understand how important it is, it makes it a bit easier to let things go. You know,
exactly.
if you want, yeah, and then you find that then the friends or the people that you keep around also need to understand how important that is. And even if they do understand how important it is, then they will be with you. If they don't, then you cut them off. And sometimes you don't even have to cut them off. They fall off themselves,
Exactly.
right? Because then they can't kind of reciprocate what you're giving to them.
Definitely. So it's about you having a bigger why. If your why is not big enough, you wouldn't see any reason to actually change your routine, or change the person that you are to actually better yourself. So if your why is not big enough in terms of where you want to go, where you want to be, at what time, you know, nothing is going to change, because you're going to keep on procrastinating, like, oh no, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Oh, how about next week? Oh no, next month. Oh, how about next year? You know, it's going to be like that forever.
Yep. And then what happens is, then the more you procrastinate, the situation doesn't become better, it mostly becomes worse. So you find that in the situation today, you say to yourself, you know what, I'll do it next year, man. I think I'll apply next year for a job, right? Cool. Let's say that's your dream, right? What are you gonna do now? What are the chances that whatever you're gonna do now is gonna be leading up to you to apply? Probably not. Probably very low. What you probably will do is then say, you know what, I'm gonna do as much as nonsense as I can do now, so that by the time I apply when I'm next year, then I'll be focused. It's like, nah, it doesn't work like that.
No.
Then what happens? You either then you start to drink more, or you then start to lack ambition. You start to be around people that are like that lack ambition, and they lack drive, and they make excuses. You then get pregnant, or you make someone pregnant, and then you find that by the time you get to that date where you said, hey, I'm gonna apply, you're like, oh And you know, a lot of things happen, man. A lot of, I think maybe, and then you become that person. And then 1 year becomes 2 years, 3 years becomes 4 years, and then you just become a whiner, and you become someone that complains a lot, and you become an excuse maker, and then you become someone that people don't want to be around. And then you find that then you not only lost yourself, you lost your friends, you lost most of your family members, and you lost what is true to you. And
That is true.
It doesn't get worse than that. Then you're just kind of living at the running after things instead of you being the one that was in the driving seat.
That's true, because I think the thing of procrastinating, it starts when you in maybe varsity. Let's say, okay, from high school you go to varsity, and maybe you have to drop out because of fees, and now you're working, right? And now you have to start saving to go back and finish your degree, and you're like, okay, so this month I just received let's see, 7,000. Okay, let me start next month, and you spend the 7,000. By the end, as I've said, when you analyze yourself at the end of the year, you're like, shit, what am I going to do now? I was supposed to actually go study, but what happened? You were too consumed on things you have to do.
Yeah, exactly, man. So that's the most important thing with working and studying, is that there's a lot more moving parts than you think about. It's not just waking up, going from school, and then the next day you're going straight to work. There's so much that happens there. It's a whole big chunk of your life that changes, you know, and people know you spend less time with your friends. You spend less time with your friends during work, and now you have to make work friends. But they're even your work friends, not really friends. They kind of like your work friends. You don't want to kind of, you know, do personal things with them as well as work. Yeah, especially the more important or the more less social your work is, you want to keep it very professional, for instance. So you find that you're now living in a circle where everything's changed in your life. You can't go to lecturers and ask them, hey, what if I do this? It's like now, everything that you learned there, if you didn't get it, that's your baby. You kind of have to read up on it now, you know? So equip yourself, like I said, to the best way possible for your own future and for your current, present goals. And the only way to kind of do that again is to set yourself places that you want to go to, you know, set up goals for yourself, set up journeys for yourself that it might not be exactly where you want to go to, but it gives you a sense of direction and a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is to fall off the boat.
Yeah, so just in summary, it goes with goal planning. So instead of being reactive, just be proactive. Stop on now dwelling on reacting to things when they come, but what are you going to do about them? Are you going to solve them at what time? Do it now. Goal plan is have a bigger why, basically, and stick to it. Trust me, you'll be moving through ranks. I don't know. You'll be shocked at yourself, like, what am I doing this? Because you have a bigger why. You know where where you're going. You've planned for this.
Yep, that's what happens, man. It's as simple as that. That's really the difference between like classes in terms of the working class and also classes in terms of studying class, school class. Is that the one makes decisions before, or the one plans decisions before they make them, and the other one only that makes the decisions and then plans after they make the mistakes. And that's really good. So, yeah, man.
That's definitely it.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.